Well, welcome back to Last Call. Believe it or not, season 4. Yes, it's me, Mike Pereira, along with, yes, birthday boy. Birthday boy there, Dean Blandino, who is somewhere today. He's somewhere between 49 and 50. I'll let you figure that out. But Dean, welcome back, birthday boy.
Thank you. Thank you very much. A lot of love on social media.
Yeah, too much love. Where's my love?
Was birthday love or what? Or just people are just happy the NFL's back. But I cannot remember two rules analysts getting that much love. There was still some outliers, but there was definitely a lot of love. But we are back for Last Call. We got a great show. We got a lot of stuff, and we're going to start in Sunday Night Football here in LA with the big OPI call at the end of the game. But we've got Joe Burrow's debut. We've got the first ejection of the season. We've got Mike Evans and Marshawn Lattimore doing their best John Jones and Daniel Cormier impression. Good. And we've got a roughing the passer or not on Mr. Unlimited, Russell Wilson. But let's start Sunday Night Football, 3rd and 10. Cowboys down by 3. Dak to Michael Gallup. Skip Bayless, our colleague, our host on Undisputed. Oh, come on. They're just hand fighting. That was not offensive pass interference. Just robbed the Cowboys of overtime. Mike, what do you think of the tweet? What do you think of the call?
Well, come on, Skip. He hates every other team in the league other than the Dallas Cowboys. Of course, Skip Bayless is going to say that. But, I'm going to be in the minority here because I think it's absolutely the right call. I mean, I said it when I was watching it live because even on the live television shot, you see the full extension of Gallup's arm. And 2 officials made the call, the sideline official and the official in the middle of the field. Tony Correnti in his pool report said it was clear and obvious that there was full extension of the arm with separation. And I think there is. The problem with the show and the replays is you show them in slow motion. And quite frankly, everything looks different. We both know that you can make an incomplete pass look like a catch every time if there's any element of control. So I like the call. And I like that it's made on the big stage by officials who haven't worked since January in most cases. So you had a big call. And to me, when I watch the live shot, and I'm sure when I see the coach's tape, you're going to see an extended arm. And Ramsey was not like beaten on the play. He was right there. And it was just the separation that Gallup needed to make the catch. I didn't even see him argue the call, by the way.
Yeah, I think, and I agree. Look, I think it's a foul. You watch the live shot, you can see the separation. There was a lot of people questioning, well, Ramsey hooked Gallup's arm. They thought that should have been called as well. There is a certain amount of hand fighting that is going to take place. But what the officials, and like you said, 2 officials made the call, there was a clear extension. It did create separation. Did Jalen embellish a little bit? Sure, he did. But the fact is, it was a push into the body. It did create separation. But here's the thing, and there's a lot of things at play here. It's Sunday Night Football. It's the Rams and Cowboys. It's the end of the game. It's a big call. It's obviously puts the Cowboys in field goal range. And people are going to say, hey, you can't make that call in that situation. Well, if you don't make that call in that situation, do you call it in the first quarter? Do you call it in a different game? If it's a foul, it's a foul, and you have to make that call whether there's 3 seconds to go in the fourth quarter or 12 minutes to go in the first. And again, it's a big call. Cowboy fans have been known to, be passionate about their team. And
passionate with you. Yeah, they love you.
Especially with me. So I'm sure I'll get a lot of love after saying it was the correct call. But interesting. Imagine this play in 2019 and you add the replay element. Now it's reviewed. Today we're talking about not whether it was pass interference on the field, but we're talking about should it have been overturned in replay. Thankfully, we don't have to have that conversation.
But I think even if we would have had that, I don't think they would have unless there was the shot that you had from the side that showed the separation, the same shot that you had that the back judge basically had. And again, when you're focusing on that, and I get why people don't like it, because without that angle, you don't see the extension of the arm. But I tell you, just go back and take a look at it the live shot. And if you can get on NFL Game Pass, if you can look at the coach's tape, you're going to see it too. So it is a call that had to be, and I think was correctly made. Now, it wasn't the only offensive pass interference call that was a tough one. AJ Green at the end of the game gets called for OPI on a great throw from Burrow and a catch, and it's offensive pass interference call there. That's another one that certainly painted the picture of how the game ended. Your thoughts?
Yeah, and you see the tweet by Michael David Smith, unreal way to lose the game. Look, Joe Burrow, his debut, obviously first overall pick. A lot of people are excited. Had a very eventful game, was the long touchdown run and obviously the play at the end, 2-minute drill takes the Bengals down. And it was the deep wing official that made the call. And look, to me, again, it's a big call. It's a critical situation, but it's the right call. It clearly extends his arms to create separation. What the officials are looking for offensive pass interference is, does the receiver maintain a bent arm? Is it just hand fighting? Is it a lean? But once you extend that arm to create the space, which in my opinion, that's what Green did, came back, caught the football, made an unbelievable catch. But who knows if he would have been able to make that play if he doesn't push off and create that space. So to me, again, big call. And my man Ryan Reynolds, when he's not making movies like Deadpool, he's tweeting about the Bengals, which I love. And I know that's not that Ryan Reynolds, but I thought it was the correct call, big situation. And unfortunately for the Bengals and Joe Burrow and their fans, was the game.
Yeah, it's interesting. I drove 5.5 hours from LA to Sacramento today, and I listened to the sports talk shows pretty much all the way. And all the talk about all the games, and of course, the only really officiating discussion were on both of these OPI plays. And most of them certainly did not like either call. And then Trent Dilfer came on, who is a guy that I really do respect and thought he's a great announcer, and he makes a weekly appearance on the Herd show now. He said, tough play, but clearly the right call, pass interference. And it is. It's just that people don't like to see any call made, I think, with the game on the line, and they want the players to decide the outcome. But much like really the play with Gallup, if you didn't call it, you'd have an equal uproar coming from the other side. And so, I think, Dean, overall, and the officials for not having any preseason, any training camp, just Zoom training, penalties were down like 12%. I think they had a really pretty good weekend myself.
Yeah, no, I think it was a good weekend. I think when you look at the fouls, yeah, they were down to right around 13 a game, which is significant when you think about last year, week 1. And I know we had the explosion in offensive holding calls, but it was 19 a game, after week 1 last year. And your average, in 13 is certainly the lowest, and we still have 2 games to go, but it's the lowest it's been in a long time. Typically 15, 16 is your average. But yeah, for not having preseason, look, we're always going to talk about a handful of plays every week. And were there misses? Sure. Were there calls that were made that probably shouldn't have? Sure. But I think overall it was a great week, and I think everyone should be happy right now. One other play that did come up that I want to get your opinion on. We did have our first ejection, and it was, and here's the clip, and it was your game. Jamie Collins gets ejected for making contact with referee Alex Kemp. What did you think of this, Mike?
Well, I just don't think you can let him do that. He was upset because of David Montgomery. He felt David Montgomery, when he was running the ball, was lowering his head. And the rule does apply to the running back also, but you can't demonstrate it against the official. I mean, get a teammate, do something, but you can't hit the official. Now, obviously he is upset. Is it the biggest? Maybe not, but to me, it's a clear ejection. You have to. I mean, he's just demonstrating. I get what David Montgomery is doing, but okay, what if a quarterback gets hit with a karate chop and it doesn't get called? Is he supposed to hit the referee with a karate chop and say this is what he did? I think you got to be a little smarter than that. And of course, the call was made, and you saw the hesitation. And what was that hesitation? it was New York getting involved because they either decided on the field to eject him then, and then New York had to confirm it, or maybe they didn't, and then New York added it. But you have that element now that comes out of New York. But to me, Jamie Collins, you just have to be smarter, and you can't do that.
So I have a couple of thoughts. I think that's the first time we've ever referenced a karate chop on Last Call. So I think that's good. So
Thank you.
Check the box.
First Ryan Reynolds movie too, but that's okay.
This is a 2020 social distancing ejection if I have ever seen one. Come on. It's got to, if you're going to eject somebody, you want it to be malicious. There's no intent there. But I'm saying this half tongue in cheek. I think, again, good. For the official, Alex Kemp in that situation, the players, you can't put your hands on an official. You can't contact an official. There's no malicious intent there. I think Collins was trying to demonstrate something, but he certainly has to be mindful that he can't make contact with the official. And I don't think the officials had any choice but to eject, because once you open that door, now, you don't want players putting their hands on officials, or vice versa. We always told our officials, hey, you don't put your hands on a player, especially if you're trying to break up an altercation and you grab a player from behind. They don't know that you're an official, and you put yourself and others at risk. So I think it looks optics wise. I can see why people were, on social media certainly upset about it, but it's the only call you can make in that situation. Even though Mike, being a former official, officials they are kind of a little sensitive about that stuff, but it is the right call.
I'd have pulled the Jalen Ramsey and I'd have hit the turf. I'd have gone down.
Well, Alex did. I mean, I don't think Alex expected to get contacted, but there was a little jump there. I do the shimmy. I do the shimmy on the air. Alex did the little shimmy there.
Yeah, and it's okay. I mean, a player can put his hands on you. I mean, it's not like they never touch an official, but you can't do it when you're like arguing or upset at something. And he was upset. So, do you think he'll get a letter from the league?
He may. Who knows? I think obviously with the video and the supplemental discipline and the fines, you have an opportunity to talk to the player. There's an appeal process. You can look at the video. It's not a decision that has to be made in the moment. And so we'll see. Maybe there's a fine, an appeal. Maybe it gets rescinded or reduced. But that's the process that takes place. And it's a good process that the players have that avenue.
All right, so we're moving on to the Mike Evans Lattimore.
Yes, that's right. I'm supposed to see first week. I'm supposed to kick this off to you. Sorry,
yeah,
Mike.
I thought so. You'll get it. You're getting older. That happens. I can tell you.
I'm a day older. So this was Lattimore and Evans, who have a little bit of a history. And so you see the tweet, and the question that was all over social media was, Lattimore gets penalized. Why didn't Evans get penalized here, Mike?
Well, he should have. I mean, the thing is, we've always gone by the premise that you want to get the guy that starts it. I mean, and that's the first thing you think about. But that really involves a pushing and shoving match. I mean, if it's something that is beyond just a pushback and a ripping off of the helmet like this is, then it needed to be called, and it becomes a simple offset. And I get that Lattimore started it, but in this particular case, what Evans did as a retaliation is clearly a foul. And so to me, it should have been called. And I get their psyche. Try not to have offsets, but not when the retaliation is this severe. The question became, could New York get involved in this? Because they can get involved in disqualification. So could they actually have disqualified Evans for what he did? And the answer is no, because no foul was called on Evans. If there was a foul that was called on Evans, then actually New York could have looked at it and then decided whether or not they would actually eject him, which I don't think it's the kind of foul that would merit an ejection in my point of view. But I think, Dean, that it should have been really offsetting fouls.
Yeah, I agree. Look, you're always teaching your officials to get the instigator, right? And you don't want to offset unless the retaliation raises to the level where it can't be ignored. And I think this is a perfect example of that. Lattimore certainly starts it, shoves Evans in the back. If Evans turned around and just shoved Lattimore, I think flag Lattimore and we move on. But taking a shot to the head, knocking the helmet off, that rises to the level of unnecessary roughness that you can't ignore. And you have to have flags on both players in this situation. We offset and we move on. And your point about ejection, yeah, they could, because Lattimore was flagged, New York could look at that for what, is a non-football act and potentially eject, which is clearly not worthy of a disqualification. But the Evans thing, because there's no foul called, New York can't get involved in, and that has to come from the officials on the field. So again, interesting situation. You do want to get the guy that starts it, but you can't, my mom always used to tell me 2 wrongs don't make a right.
So did my dad and my mom and every other parent probably.
Yeah. No, my dad did. My dad was just watching the game. He was like, he let mom do that stuff. So.
Hey, you were watching Seattle, Arizona. Seattle, Atlanta. That was one of your games. And when I peeked across, pretty tough hit on Russell Wilson that wasn't called. And, don't want to sound like a homer here, and they did win, by the way, but why is it that it remains okay to tackle Russell Wilson by the head or face when there's been a rule against that for years? Seems to happen a lot. Should there have been a roughing the passer penalty call for that hit on Russell Wilson?
Yeah, I think there should have been. And you look at Wilson, there's 2 types of postures. He's either in a passing posture or he's in a running posture. If he's in a passing posture, in the pocket, he's going to get all of the roughing the passer protection. He's going to get defenseless player protection, which includes forcible contact to the head or neck area. And you certainly could put this type of contact into that category. It was forcible. Now look, the defender was trying to wrap, but it was almost a clothesline type action. Now, if he just tackles Wilson and the arm, gets around the chest and maybe it rides up to the neck area, but it's a conventional tackle, there's no foul. But when you tackle the passer in that posture up around the head or neck area with force, that's going to be roughing the passer more often than not. And I certainly would have supported a call here. But if he's a runner, you can make that tackle up in the head neck area. The runner does not get any special protection in terms of defenseless player protection or anything else. And we did see probably, I thought, which was a more egregious example, was the game last night with Goff getting hit in the head, and we didn't get that called. Ended up being an interception. Rams still won the game. Thankfully, it didn't have an impact. But, that type of contact, forcible to the head, should get called.
Okay, it's yours to wrap up now if you follow the script.
No, I described that and covered that so well and succinctly and thoroughly that Mike Pereira, mark this down, guys. Mike Pereira had nothing to say about a topic. And the last time he had nothing to say about a topic, he was asleep. Just saying.
No, the thing is here, I'm very cognizant of the 20 minutes we have, and we have 1 minute to wrap it up, and I can't say anything in less than 5 minutes. Wrap up the dang show, would you?
Go with it. He said, go with it. Don't worry about the timing. But that is the show. Thanks for joining us. We will be here every Monday, 4:30 Eastern, 1:30.
Yes.
And that guy will be with us.
I have been pumping iron like you can't believe.
Michael Pereira.
Lost a few pounds.
UFC fighter Michael Pereira. And you can see just had a big win recently. Michael Pereira, the UFC fighter, and Mike Pereira, the rules analyst on Fox Sports, obviously going to the same trainer, having the same diet, same workout regimen. Mike,
and for my next bout, I will be taking on Mike Davis's 2-year-old boy. That'll be my next
fight.
My
money on the Davis kid. On that note, thanks. See you next Monday. I can't even with that picture. Please take it down.
For the best stories, easy to find scores, and comprehensive team pages, plus access to every live Fox Sports game and exclusive bonus cameras, download the all-new Fox Sports app now.